Good evening, listener. Don't you hate it when you're out in the woods, surrounded by nature, and all of those creepy crawlies? Well, I'm going to bring you several tales over the next few days of creepy crawlies and everything that they entail. I hope you enjoy, listeners. I hope you enjoy. The Cactus by Collective 1985. Until this day, this urban legend has been told many times in many ways. Some of them include spiders and scorpions shooting out of the cactuses after it exploded. The following events are the reports from the local police department, and the names of people and locations were changed for privacy reasons. Sandy Gulch, Oklahoma, a small town in the middle of nowhere. This town became the site of a bizarre incident that took place many years ago, and people told other versions of the story. However, this was supposedly the original location of which these events happened. One day, Mrs. Baker received a cactus from her husband, Mr. Baker, during his trip to Mexico. This cactus was a species native to the Sonoran Desert and needed special care. Mr. Baker told his wife not to feed the cactus more than twice every few days, and don't water it more than once a week. Then Mrs. Baker followed the directions for about a month. One day, Mrs. Baker made a mistake by accidentally feeding it twice on the same day. The cactus began to twitch and wave its arm around violently like tentacles. Then it started to make a rattling and hissing noise from the top where the flowers were supposed to be. Mrs. Baker phoned the police, and they told her to get out of the house immediately. Before she could open the door, a bunch of cactus needles shot at her, missing and ended up in the walls. Finally, making it outside before it could shoot needles again, Mrs. Baker was greeted by a man in a protective suit. He was from an environmental agency, according to the patch under the shoulder. "Miss, this wasn't a cactus, but a rare giant insect called the Sonoran needlebug that buries its legs into the soil for nutrients," the man in the suit explained to Mrs. Baker in a serious tone. "The Sonoran needlebug is a rare species that is commonly mistaken for cacti, and sometimes sold illegally. The needles on its arm are filled with venom that could cause paralysis and even death within hours. You're lucky you survived this ordeal. When you fed it twice a day, it would have turned deadly if those needles hit you." He continued to explain with a look of fear on his face. More local authorities and animal control showed up, hauling away the Sonoran needlebug under a tarp. Mr. Baker came home and hugged his wife and apologized for not knowing about this. After this whole incident, the police took their statement and left. Mr. Baker never bought anything back from a foreign country after that. Then Mrs. Baker always checked everything that she bought from the grocery store. One day, an urgent message appeared on the TV with a picture of the cactus, and it said, "Do not keep this cactus in your house. Call the police right away. Repeat, do not keep this cactus in your house. Call the police right away." The Suicide Bug by Opinionated IMO. In a world as ecologically diverse as our own, many species of insects remain undiscovered. Entomologists frequently uncover new breeds and subspecies previously thought to be completely documented. From the forest floors of Latin America to the jungles of Asia, the insect world still offers its share of deadly six-legged surprises. The highly feared suicide bug is one such creature. Located less than 5 years ago in a remote jungle of South America, the sting from the suicide bug is so intense that all victims eventually commit suicide. Not from damaging physical effects on bodily organs, no matter the mental state of the individual beforehand. They do so purely to escape the excruciating, unrelenting pain. Ironically, the sting doesn't even hurt when it happens. It reportedly takes up to 5 minutes for the agony to manifest itself. From that moment on, it's described by victims as unbearable. As far as physical characteristics are concerned, it's as if someone mated the infamous tarantula hawk and bullet ant species to create a perfect self-killing machine. The venom itself isn't fatal. It does no more damage to human cellular tissue than ordinary fire ants or a wasp sting. It's the psychological pain effects that are both unrelenting and apparently unendurable. Despite that incredibly alarming scenario, the risk of encountering one of these innocuous little insects was very minuscule. The home range of this creature was isolated to an incredibly remote mountain jungle. Tragically for humanity, the discovery of this insect was made by a team of scientists devoted to shared research. Live specimens of Phaneus arthropoda suicidum were distributed to their research partners across the world. All of the entomologists agreed to collaborate on the research. None of them had the benefit of knowing the tenacious insects would escape their flimsy research containers and quickly adapt to the different environments outside. 3 years later, their numbers exploded. Every major city in the world has unchecked numbers of these deadly creatures, because they all have chapters of the Shared Research Council. It is a plague upon mankind, but government officials worldwide have tried to cover it up, to prevent a panic. The insect is so ordinary looking that it blends in perfectly with the scenery. People mistake them for ordinary winged beetles, but that's a fatal mistake. Oh my word! Why are you telling me all of this? The alarmed lady on the park bench wanted to know. She cringed in subconscious revulsion. Just hearing about it made her skin crawl. Because you just swatted one off your arm. They aren't an aggressive species, but see such gestures as an assault against them and go on the defense. You'll find out if it stung you in just a few minutes. I hope for your sake it didn't. Well, I'm done rambling for now, listener. Wasn't that fun? I hope our writers survive their encounters, so they can tell me more of their tales, and I can ramble through them with you. Good night, listener, and do take care, because you never know what's out there.